The Lancers are home Thursday, January 1st at 4 p.m. Come celebrate New Year's Day with the Lancers. The first 1,000 kids get a free cowbell. Buy 4 tickets and get free food. The Lancers home New Year's Day at 4 p.m. Call 872-KICK or ourlancers.com. Feel the kick, baby.
Live from the Rochester Sports Network studios in Gates, New York. Coming to you after Christmas morning when you got the best presents that you've ever asked for. Is that right, gentlemen?
Yes.
That's right.
This is the Rochester Sports Mumblings. It's presented to you by Salvatore's and the Rochester Razor Sharks with your host, Matt Goldman.
Thank you.
Yeah. And John Cargill.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Muna.
And here's your host, Matt Goldman.
That is me. Thank you, Muna, the announcer. We are thrilled. We are back after a little, well, not really break. We still had a show last week.
Did you guys do a best of last week?
We did a best of show, and it turned out pretty well. We had Soccer Sam Fantuzzo on telling us all about the Lancers and how they folded and then unfolded.
Yeah,
they
unfolded, which is a good way to put it. And we're glad they unfolded because, man, they are better than they've ever been. They're like the Phoenix. They're rising.
They are
from the
really
ashes.
good right now. They are 4-2, and they're in second place in the East Division. They can't beat Baltimore, though.
Well,
who can?
Baltimore.
No one can beat Baltimore. That's the
been
problem.
Pretty much a stalwart since they've come in, and it'll be interesting to see who, if anyone, takes down Baltimore.
I think they could go 19-1 because I don't think they're going to go 20-0 because when they play Milwaukee, I know they already beat Milwaukee, I believe once. I don't think they're going to sweep them though.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to go undefeated, especially with a lot of teams. It's just, I mean, you got to have wear and tear. You got travel. You got fatigue. It is pretty hard to go undefeated.
All right, now we'll talk a little more MASL later in the show. We have some very interesting news out of the western portion of the league. Some teams not in existence anymore.
Around.
Some red cards vacated due to some protests. Some crazy stuff going on in the world of indoor soccer. But first, we're going to talk a little lacrosse. We have a very special guest coming on at 6:15 if you're listening live. If you're listening on the replay in about 2 minutes, Mike Hasen, the head coach of your 3-time defending champion Rochester Knighthawks, who opened their season and their home schedule this Saturday at the Blue Cross Arena, 7:30 p.m. against the Toronto Rock. Coming in from north of the border. First, though, you know that if you listen to our show, you can win stuff, right?
Free stuff.
Free stuff. We're going to give away another large Salvatore's pizza tonight. John, do we have a trivia question ready?
We do, and this one is going to not be very easy.
Not be very easy. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, this is Lancer's trivia. I don't know if we have a drum roll here, but go ahead. John?
I'm waiting for the drum roll.
We're having some technical issues with the drum roll, so you might want to just go ahead because we have Mike Hasen.
All right. Now,
up.
as you know, the Rochester Lancers, they have been in existence for quite some time, so this is going into history.
And we're talking about the old Rochester
Lancers,
right?
Rochester Lancers.
Okay.
Now, this is a tough question, so I'll be very impressed if anyone gets it.
Okay.
And if not, we'll give some clues. During the 1971 NASL playoffs, the Lancers won the longest game in NASL's history. The score was 2-1. What was the team they played against?
Okay. That is the question. What do you mean the longest game?
It's the longest game in NASL's history.
Did they used to play like unlimited overtime or something?
148 minutes.
What?
Yeah.
They played for 148 minutes?
Yep.
Why?
I don't know.
So they did not have. It was just like hockey. They did unlimited overtime.
I have no idea why they did it.
I mean, 148 minutes. That's 58 minutes past the 90-minute mark.
That's a long time.
Wow.
Actually, I made a mistake. That was the other game. They played two games that were long. The longest game was 176 minutes.
176 minutes of soccer.
Yes, it was
in one game. You sure that wasn't a 2-game aggregate series or something?
No, because the game 3 of the series was 120 and 48 minutes.
Oh my God.
Game 1 was 176 minutes.
176 minutes. So who is
Yeah.
the opponent for the 176-minute game?
Yeah,
that
who
is
was
the question.
opponent? And that's a crazy amount of
I'm going to
soccer.
post something on Facebook right now. If you
Wow.
know the answer to that question, respond and you will win a free Salvatore's
Also,
pizza.
another fun fact, they were the only NASL club in history to participate in the international tournament, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which any soccer fan knows is a pretty big deal.
Yes, and that was what preceded the CONCACAF Champions League, which is the current tournament they have among the champions of the Open Cup and the MLS and the Mexican League.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And the
Lancers
Canadian
were the
Cup.
only NASL team in history to ever do that.
Very interesting. I
Yeah.
did not know that. Well, we are waiting.
That
Mike.
was back in the Pele days.
Ah, okay. Is that a clue?
That is kind of a clue.
Okay. I think you
I
just
mean-
gave it away.
Not really.
All right. Well, because, I know who Pele played for. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, we know.
Anyways, that is Lancers Trivia. We are waiting Mike Hasen. He should be on the line here in just a minute. John, in the meantime, some lacrosse talk. The Inside Lacrosse magazine, their online edition, they counted down the top 50 players in Major League in the National Lacrosse League.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know who came out as number 1?
Oh my gosh, Jammer.
Yes, Cody Jamieson. So congratulations, Cody Jamieson on the Rochester Knighthawks. He was named the number 1 player in the National Lacrosse League, and I think that's a good pick.
Oh yeah. I mean, he always shows up. He's one of those players that he's clearly a franchise player. And one of the cool things I like about the Knighthawks is we don't just have one key player. We have a team full of key players that learn and know how to play together. And that's part of the reason why we are the 3-time defending champion.
Number 6 out of the top 50 in the league was the goaltender, Matt Vince. Vino. And that's another very deserving pick. He's widely regarded as the best goaltender in the world. So think about it. When you have the best goalie in the world and the best player in the world, that's a great formula for being the best team in the world.
And they have a team that works together. I mean, it's a team of all-stars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and not only that, here's what's interesting to me. Since Mike Hasen's been coach, 3 seasons, their record is 25-23. Which is not that great.
Yeah, that's really not that
But
great
they've
of a
won
record.
3 championships out of 3 years.
Well, if anyone remembers, I mean, the first one kind of wasn't expected.
The first one was very unexpected.
Yeah.
The second one was unexpected. The third one was unexpected because it was the third one.
Mhm.
And no one thought that it was possible.
I mean, the first one, I remember people being a little upset because their record was one that a lot of people thought wasn't deserving of a spot in the playoffs.
And that was when the NLL still had 8 out of 9 teams making the playoffs, which a lot of people don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But the Knighthawks snuck in on the last weekend. They beat Buffalo. This was back in 2012. They beat Buffalo on the last weekend to finish at 8-8, and they snuck in the playoffs, and they made things happen. And, that's what championship teams do. They win when it counts.
And not only that, but everyone knows the playoffs are a whole different bird. It's not the same thing as the regular season, and that's when a lot of these teams come to life in the playoffs. They play a whole different game. Players, awaken, and we've seen the real Knighthawks in the playoffs. It'd be nice to see them in the season, though.
And that's what we saw last year. I mean, last year their record was much better than it had been in the regular season, especially at home. They, I believe, lost 1 home game last year, which was nice.
Mm-hmm. Instead of being a team of road warriors. But...
Right. And, that's how the Knighthawks of the Steve Donner days used to be. They would win every game at home, and then they would win at least half of their road games, and they be at the top of the table. Them or Toronto usually.
Yeah, the thing is, the Knighthawks, of course we can go back to the John Grant days of, a lot of scoring and a lot of shots, a lot of, shorthanded goals, but they play just a smarter game these days.
They do. It's a very team-oriented game. They play 5-on-5 offense. They pass the ball like better than any other team.
Oh, yeah.
They move the ball. I think that's their strongest point. They move the ball better than any other team. They've got the best goaltender in the world, and they've got great defense. They've got Sid Smith. People yell at him, from the crow's nest. You hear people. He takes dumb penalties, but he's big and he's tough, and he is tough to get any space on.
I mean, taking defensive-minded penalties is going to happen.
And it's not the worst thing in the world. In hockey or lacrosse, you don't like offensive zone penalties or stupid penalties. Just a guy, punching a guy in the face, and the ref's gonna take the last guy. Something like that is it's stupid.
Who was that guy for Buffalo who used to take really dumb penalties?
For the Bandits?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, what was his name? I can't remember, but I just remember he would take the
Speaking of
penalties.
taking dumb penalties, over the break, there was a big trade in the Rochester Americans world. Luke Adam was traded to Springfield for Jerry D'Amigo. And Jerry D'Amigo is, of course, he used to play for the USA World Junior team. He was fantastic. He won a gold medal with the United States. He's very highly regarded as a solid American Hockey League player. He is a very good penalty killer. Unfortunately, though, since he's been here, he hasn't done nothing.
Well, he hasn't really been here that long.
I know, but this season he has struggled a little bit. While Luke Adam led the league, led the Amerks in goals before he was traded, and then since he's been traded, has already scored 2 goals for Springfield. So I didn't like the trade necessarily. I was always a Luke Adam supporter. Yes, Luke Adam did take a lot of dumb penalties. That was one, and his defensive zone play was not great, but he was a true goal scorer. He is a pure goal scorer. He's a goal scorer's goal scorer.
Yeah,
he scores goals.
In
the words of Ned Braden, we win because I score effing goals. That was Luke Adam.
He could score when he wanted to, but he also would go to sleep for days at a time. So, and I found
in the defensive zone. Well, or you mean in general? He was pretty consistent. He was pretty consistent scoring goals.
If he was consistent, then there wouldn't have been a lot of the outcry to.
A lot of the outcry was the fans didn't like him because he got lazy on defense. Okay, and it was obvious that he got lazy on defense, and he took dumb penalties. And in general, he just, I don't know, the way he carried himself on the ice. It sometimes looked like he didn't care.
Seemed like he didn't care. Yeah,
that's what. But I'm not sure that was the case. I think that might have been just how he looked.
I honestly think that.
And his plus minus was never very good.
I think this is a better move for him. I think he
was happy to get out.
I think he'll do well when he gets there. I think he'll probably see some time with Columbus.
He's got 5 points already in 5 games with Springfield. Okay. He had 20 points in 27 games with the Amerks this year. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
If you extrapolate that out, that's he's going to end up with 60 points or so.
I don't think he really. I don't think he.
The one stat that's not good. He was a minus 13, and at 24 penalty minutes, none of those were good penalties. So those are the 2 things that really hurt the team, and coaches and fans didn't like. Last season, 49 points in 59 games, including 29 goals. I mean, he's not a superstar, but he's a consistent goal scorer.
Well, but no, the player's name was Brandon Francis. Remember him for Buffalo?
Oh, I do. Yes.
Brandon Francis was one of those. He was a fan favorite, but he just took horrible penalties, just dumb penalties. I mean, starting fights at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Taking giving dumb hits, and the NLL is kind of like hockey. It's moving away from a lot of the goonery was once known for. It's becoming more of a tactical game.
Oh, it is. It's becoming more like hockey now. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
where
seeing-
it's the game is getting cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting is pretty much gone.